The first episode of the Beyond the Fence podcast was released on Friday, and in that podcast I talked a little bit about wanting to go more in depth talking about the mental side of the game. Now, I've been limited to short form content my entire content career, mostly posting on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, and most of these videos have been 1 minute or even shorter. And when you talk about the mental game, there's so much more that I would like to talk about. So today we're going to talk about 3 pillars to the mental game when we're at the plate. These 3 main pillars or principles are things that I believe every hitter should have as part of their mental approach when they come up to the plate. And I believe that this applies to any age. So even if you have a kid who's super young, or maybe you're even a player who's still playing in pro ball or college, I believe that this will benefit you. So 3 main principles to the mental game. Number 1, we want to have very realistic goals. Number 2, we want to have unrealistic confidence. And number 3, we want to embrace failure. So what do I mean when I say set realistic goals? Well, I mean something very specific here, so listen up. I've heard coaches talk about setting goals for yourself, like, oh, I want to bat 300 this year, or I want to hit 10 home runs this year. I want us to get even more specific than that. When you step up to the plate, I want you to have a goal for that at bat. Now, for this goal, when I say realistic, I mean we should never have the goal necessarily of getting a hit when we go up to the plate. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. We want to get a hit. Why wouldn't we set that as a goal? Well, the reason that I say we shouldn't have getting a hit or getting a home run or anything like that as a goal is because it's too unrealistic. If we have that kind of goal when we go up to the plate, then we're only going to be successful in achieving our goal maybe 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 times. And for me, I like to build up my confidence, and the way that I best can build up my confidence is having myself succeed more often in achieving my goals. So here's what I propose. Set goals that you can achieve every single at-bat. So what these goals can look like are going to be a lot more process-oriented rather than result-oriented. So rather than stepping up to the plate and being like, okay, I'm going to get a hit in this at-bat, that's my goal. Rather than that, I want you to have an approach that you stick to, and your goal for the at-bat is just to stick to your approach. So something that I would often do is have my goal be to stick to my approach when I get up to the plate, and my approach would be to get a good pitch I can hit and put a good swing on it, okay? If that was my goal, a lot of times I could achieve it. I'd achieve it maybe, 3/4 of the time, and that's a better goal in my opinion. That wouldn't necessarily mean that I would succeed. There would be some games where I'd go 0 for 4, but I was 4 for 4 on achieving my goal of getting a good swing off on a good pitch. So here's my point here. If we set goals that are realistic enough that we can achieve them at least 75% of the time, we're going to have a lot more confidence as a hitter, because you can go 0 for 4 and still consider that a successful day up here in your brain. Now, hitting is so confidence-based that I think it's really necessary that we set such realistic goals so that our confidence is built up in our mind. If we have unrealistic goals that are set, like getting a hit every at-bat or getting a home run every at-bat, then we're going to be letting ourselves down often. We're not going to be necessarily building up confidence like we could. And that leads me to the second pillar, which is to have unrealistic confidence. So we want realistic goals, but we want unrealistic confidence. When I stepped up to the plate, there was never a doubt in my head that I was about to take that pitcher deep. As I stepped up to the plate, I was hyping myself up, I was getting more and more confident, and I highly recommend that you guys do this. Set your realistic goals fairly low so that you can achieve them often, build up your confidence, and then when you step up to the plate, you should step up to the plate with all the confidence in the world. Expect yourself to hit a home run every time, okay? So we want to balance these realistic goals that we can achieve all the time with unrealistic confidence that expects us to get a hit off of anybody. You should step up to the plate, and you could be facing the best pitcher in the world, and when you step up to the plate, you should be fully expecting, yeah, I'm about to get a hit off of this guy. That's the kind of player that I am. You need to have that dog mentality where you're ready to go compete against anybody while simultaneously having very easy attainable goals that can further build up this confidence that we want to hold to. So realistic goals, unrealistic confidence. Number 3, embrace failure. Maybe we stepped up to the plate with a full unrealistic confidence, expecting ourselves to get a hit or hit a home run, and then we wind up striking out. And this is where we have to embrace failure. So realistic goals, unrealistic confidence, and then embrace failure. I think a lot of people get hung up on the third one because baseball is such a mentally taxing game. You fail over and over again. If you can't embrace that and see that as a stepping stone to getting to the next level, then the game's going to be very mentally taxing. It's going to be hard for you to keep up this unrealistic confidence that we are striving for. So you have to be okay with it. Towards the end of my career, I would sometimes have a 2-3 strikeout game, get back to the dugout, wouldn't even faze me emotionally. I understood that failure was part of the process. And that's another sub-point, I guess, under this, under the embracing failure category, we need to redefine what success looks like. And again, this goes back to point one. When we have very easy, realistic goals, and failure isn't just a strikeout, failure isn't a ground out. We could strike out and still successfully achieve our goal. So that strikeout no longer is seen as a failure, it's seen as a learning opportunity so that we can make an adjustment for the next at-bat. I believe that these three main principles are key when it comes to maintaining a confident, goal-oriented mentality at the plate that's going to keep us growing in the long term and keep us from getting into these big up and down slumps that we can often fall into. I talk about this a little bit more in episode 3, I believe, of the podcast, so stay tuned for that. That should be coming out within the next couple of weeks. I'm Coach RAC. We'll see you guys next time.